Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is another one of the model reviews where we look at some of the older die-cast vehicles that are available on the second-hand market. And today we've got the Corgi Original Omnibus Company OOC Eastern Coachworks bodied single decker, most of which were released as a Bristol L, but some of which were done as a Leyland Tiger TS1 with a different radiator. The Bristol L version was released mainly between July 1994 and February 1996, except for one released in July 1999, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and the Leyland version was done between March 1995 and February 2001. There were 6 releases of the Leyland, one of which was in a set with a double decker, and 5 of which were just individual releases, and there were 13 releases of the Bristol L. Again, 4 of those were in sets with double deck vehicles, and 9 were just individual releases. In real life, most of the Bristol L's with Eastern Coachworks body were operated by Tilling Group subsidiaries, which used one of 2 liveries, either red and cream or green and cream. However, vehicles with coach type high back seats were painted in a reverse livery of cream with either red or green relief as appropriate. It'll be no surprise that most of the Corgi Bristol releases were done in Tilling Group liveries. They did, in the red and cream version, they did Wilson, Dorset and Thames Valley as part of sets with double deck vehicles, and they also did United as an individual release, and in 1999 they released an unmarked one, in other words no decals, no fleet names, no registration number, etc., just in plain red and cream livery, the idea being that people could add their own transfers to it. In the green and cream version they did Durham District Services and Bath Services, and also a London Transport vehicle, which is actually an Eastern National bus on loan to London Transport and was in Eastern National livery. And then in the reversed cream with red relief they did an Eastern Counties vehicle, and in the cream with green relief they did Crosville and Lincolnshire Road car. The idea was, if you wanted one of the Tilling fleets that wasn't covered by the normal releases, as I say, you could buy the one with no decals on that was released in July 1999. It didn't really work as a concept. It was a good idea, and it's something that a lot of enthusiasts wish that manufacturers would do more. But unfortunately, most of those releases were bought up by collectors who just put them in cupboards in the hope that they become rare and the prices would go up. And indeed, that is what happened. I've looked through the internet for the price of these vehicles for the purposes of this video, and I couldn't find any of the ones with no transfers for sale, and that's quite normal. It's very rare to find them up for sale, and when they do come up, they tend to command quite high prices. So the collectors had it their way, basically. So the one we've got to review today is catalogue number 97850 in the livery of Merthyr Tydfil Corporation, and it's a model vehicle number 6, registration HB6261, the real vehicle being new to Merthyr Tydfil in January 1947. Now, from about 1950 onwards, Bristol and Eastern Coachworks products were only available to the Tilling Group. Bristol and Eastern Coachworks had been nationalised in 1948, and a couple of years after the nationalisation it was decreed they could only sell their products to the other nationalised companies in the Tilling Group. But a lot of people managed to buy them before this edict came into place. The Bristol L had entered production before the war in 1937. The model that Corgi did is a post-war version of it, but in the early post-war years, the late 1940s, quite a few did enter service with other companies that weren't part of the Tilling Group, and Merthyr Tydfil was one of those that actually managed to buy some before the sale of them to other companies was banned. I got this model for 2 reasons. First of all, Merthyr Tydfil is one of the fleets that interests me, and I don't know why really, because I've never actually been to Merthyr Tydfil. I think it's something a lot of enthusiasts experience, that they're into fleets that they haven't actually seen in real life. Let me know in the comments if that is the case for you. But another one for me is Western Ground. I never saw one of their buses in actual service, but I'm still interested in Western Ground as well. The other reason I got the Merthyr Tydfil release was that I've painted a few of these buses in the past, and obviously when you're painting one you try and find the cheapest donor model going, and generally speaking the cheapest ones of these releases you can get are the Merthyr Tydfil ones. So I'd bought a couple in the past that I'd stripped down and repainted, but it was a shame because I really like the livery, this browny maroon colour with cream and red relief and a silver roof. It really is nice, and I just thought I'd like one in my collection that actually stayed in the condition that Corgi intended it to be. So what we'll do, as always, is we'll look round the model and we'll start, as I always do, at the front, the aspect that most people see. This model's really a tale of two halves. The front is very, very nice indeed. The destination box is the right shape and size there. The destination is actually printed on, so they can do different arrangements. Merthyr, as you can see, had a side-by-side arrangement, but a lot of the Tilling Group companies had either a T-shaped display or a three-part one with a destination at the top and then an intermediate blind and a number blind underneath. So just to enable Corgi to do the different variations, they've printed the actual destination blind on, but looks very good. The blind box does actually come off. If you take the bus apart, there's a little rivet underneath that you can drill out or hammer out, and that will come off in one piece. I've done that before, removed the blind box from one of these vehicles to model a bus that didn't have one. It's also handy if you're doing a York West Yorkshire one. York West Yorkshire had some with a lower blind box to fit under a very low bridge, but all the Corgi ones have got this sort of standard height fitting that you can see here. The windscreen is the right shape and size. It looks pretty decent. You've got the split there where in real life the window would have opened, just moulded onto the window there. So there would have been an opening windscreen. You could have picked that out in silver or in body colour just to make that bar look a bit more prominent. What there isn't on this windscreen is a wiper. That's not modelled as part of the actual thing. So again, you could put a wiper on it if you wanted to. Come down, the lights are pretty good and the radiator is very nice indeed. Hopefully you can see that on the video there. It's a lovely moulding. It is detachable. As I said, I did do a Leyland Tiger TS1 version of this model, and that just had a different radiator, so you can take the radiator off and change it if you want to. And the front wheel arch area looks very good indeed. Now where this model does go wrong is when we go around the side. But we'll start with the positives. Again, the wheel arch area, engine cover area is very nice. It looks the part. The overall shape and size of it is very good as well. And the panel detail that's cast in, as you can see, is very effective. You've got the guardrails down there at the bottom, nicely modelled. If you get one, just take care when you're buying these second hand, because sometimes these get smashed off. And if they are broken, it's kind of just to remove the whole thing rather than have bits and pieces. The wheels look very good. You can see the detail on there. It doesn't stand out very well in Merthyr's black colour that they were painted. The panelling above the windows is realistically deep. There are often adverts on these, not on the Merthyr Tydfil buses, but on other ones. So that looks pretty good. And the door area looks quite nice as well. You've got the door there which slid back. You've got the recess bit in the back of the vehicle there that it would have slid into in real life, and you've got the step model as well, so that's pretty good. Where it does go wrong is the side windows. They've got this very strange thing going on where they're kind of squared off at the top. Now they should be rounded like the bottom is. All of the Corgi releases had this. I assume what it's supposed to represent is some of the vehicles had like panelling on above the windows, above the top of the windows, a bit like that. If I put this bit of wood on to show you what I mean. That's kind of a visor across the top of the window, and I think that's what it's supposed to represent, but rather than being actual stuck on panelling, it's done as part of the casting, and it doesn't look very good. They should, most vehicles after the late 40s had rounded windows, and the windows should be rounded, as I say, at the top as they are at the bottom with rounded corners, and it does detract from the look of the bus. It makes it look a bit unrealistic. You can see the detail of the sliding window vents is moulded onto the window unit as well. It's a one-piece window unit. These models, along with many quite of the early 00 gauge die casts, are not flush glazed. It's just a window unit that slides in inside. The panelling is quite thick, as you can see, so the effect isn't very good. The windows are a long way back from the edge of the body, which again detracts slightly from the appearance. But it's that squared off top to the windows that really does let it down. It's a bit of a shame, because otherwise it's a really nice model. If we go around the back, again, that looks really good. The shape of it's about right. This one hasn't got a rear destination blind. I don't know if any of the releases did. I think some of them did have that they could put in a box like on the front on this back panel, but this one doesn't have it. The lights are printed on, so again they can do different variations of the lights, and the registration plate printed on there. But the window shape and size is pretty good. The recessing of the glazing isn't as obvious on this because it's painted in a darker colour. And then we go around to the offside. Again, the panel detail and the overall shape and size is very good. The emergency door there, the driver's door, the driver's step, all really well done. Again, it's let down by these squared tops to the windows, which just detract from the overall look of it. And it is a shame. The roof on this model is a bit of a masterpiece. It's got a lot of detail cast into it, as you can see there. Very, very nice indeed. It's rare to have something to report on the roof, so it's very welcome. It stands out particularly well on this livery with a silver roof. As well, you can see all the lovely detail in there. And if we flip it over, you can see the underneath. You've got some chassis detail in there, the exhaust system and things like that. And we'll just look inside. The interior, modelled in one colour, kind of reddy colour in this case. Nicely detailed interior. It does benefit from painting. However, a word of warning, if you are going to take one of these apart, you really need to make sure that you're going to paint the actual outside of the bus as well, because it's a one-piece body. The chassis comes out, and what you need to do is put something in between the chassis. I'll just try and get the camera to focus there. There we go. Put something in between the chassis and the body like a screwdriver and lever it to break the internal bolts. But in doing that, you tend to damage the bottom of the bodywork there, the paintwork. So if you're not actually repainting the outside of it, I'll probably leave it alone, to be fair. But if you are taking one apart to repaint it, it's simplicity itself. Once you get the chassis off, this life guardrail structure is a separate structure inside, the joined together inside, so that comes out, and then the interior unit drops out, the window unit drops out, and it's all plain sailing from there. But as I say, you do tend to damage the bodywork when you're taking it apart. So if you're not painting the outside, I'll probably just leave it. All in all, it's a nice model. It's just let down, as I say, by the shape of the side windows at the top there, and it's a bit of a shame, really. So what about price? Well, as I mentioned earlier on, the Merthyr Tydfil one tends to be the cheapest. I had a quick look on eBay for the purposes of this video. I'm recording this in May 2024, and the cheapest one I could find, which was a Merthyr Tydfil one, was £4.49 plus £3.20 postage and packing. So £7.69 all in. The most expensive one I could find as an individual release was a Maidstone and District one at £23 plus £3.80 postage. But there was also one of the sets for sale for £45 plus £3.90 postage. So the sets can be quite expensive. They could also be quite cheap. I found a set for sale for £9 plus postage and packing. So shop around and have a look. But as I say, the Merthyr one does tend to be the least popular of the releases, and it does tend to sell for the lowest price. I had a quick look as well on the Liz Keith Model Shop website, and they were selling various releases of this type of bus, the Bristol L, for between £8 and £11 with postage and packing on top. And it'd be no surprise to learn that the cheapest one, the £8 one, was the Merthyr Tydfil one. It is a shame because it is a nice model, it's a lovely livery, but it just seems that Merthyr Tydfil isn't very collectible, so if you do want a cheap one, the Merthyr one is usually the one for you. And as I say, if you can find one of the ones that was released without any transfers on, the plain Tilling red and cream one, they are usually worth quite a bit of money, which is unfortunate, because if you want a fleet that wasn't modelled, to do it that way would cost you a lot of money. It's easier to get one in the actual livery you want and just remove the fleet names from it. You can get replacement Tilling Group fleet names from Fox Transfers, do quite a range there. So it's usually worth just buying, say, a United one if you want a red one and taking the United names off it, rather than looking out for the plain Tilling red and cream. You will save yourself a lot of money if you just take the names off one of the other releases. But it is a lovely little model. It's a little bit underrated, I think. As I say, the side windows let it down a bit, but you can look past that a little bit. If you look at it from a normal viewing distance, they're not immediately obvious. So they are well worth getting. But as always, thank you for joining me. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.